Josh Hawley is a
Thursday night was day 8 of the Jan.6 hearing, and this was a primetime episode, meaning that there was some good stuff, including some fantastic footage. I mean, at some point between 8:30 and 9 p.m. on Thursday night, you may have heard some laughter out in the distance. And that was the collective laughter of people watching these hearings as Josh Hawley was shown running away as they were about to happen, just hours after he had helped to rile up the crowd outside. So I will get to that and some reactions to that hilarious footage, including some reactions online from people who are watching it live. And I'll also get to another moment coming up shortly here from these hearings of Donald Trump messing up again and again in his statement to the people the day after the riots. So let me start with that. All right. So I'm going to get to as well, potential charges here that we may have to wait a while for in terms of the DOJ and what they're doing. But let me play this clip for you. This is Jan.6 committee posted this on Twitter. And of course, it was part of the hearing. The select committee obtained never before seen footage of the president recording an address to the nation on January 7th. One day after he incited an insurrection based on a lie. Trump still couldn't say the election was over. Check this out.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday, and to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement. You do not represent our country. And if you broke the law, you can't say that. I'm not going. I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
But Congress is certified. Now Congress is
Yeah,
certified.
right.
Now Congress
I didn't say over, so let me see. Go to the paragraph before. Okay? I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Just take it out. The heinous attack.
Good. Take the word yesterday, because it doesn't work with the heinous attack on our country. Say on our country. Want to say that?
No, keep it.
My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
All right. So I'm going to get to Josh Hawley and what I think is still the highlight. This was great, but Josh Hawley was the highlight for me, and the reactions to him as well, and how he's a fake populist, and we'll get to all that. But on this, so look, bloopers, outtakes, regardless of who it is, they're going to be funny. The important piece here, apart from him not being able to say the word yesterday, is that he would not say that the election was over. And you can see, the gears are moving in his mind. I'm sure he already had thought about this beforehand, but this was going to be his thing, that he was going to continue claiming that he had somehow won the election. So he did not want a clip of him out there saying the election was over if he was going to use this as a thing to, run on, as a thing to focus on over the next several years, as he has done. So it really is just, this in combination with what was happening in the hours between his speech and what happened at the Capitol and, what happened that day and leading up to that day. So this is not just from what's been coming out. And, it's impossible to summarize it all now, these eight different hearings. But what has come out during these hearings is that they knew this was planned. It wasn't just a random event that happened that, Trump got a little too excited in the speech and then people there just decided to, storm the Capitol. No, this was being discussed ahead of time. Trump had planned to march to the Capitol with them. The only reason he didn't was because his drivers instead drove to the White House while he was trying to force them to the Capitol. So, as I've said it in past videos, the people around him really sort of saved him from this being, I guess, worse for him, even though it's still pretty clear that he should face some charges. And in terms of Merrick Garland and the DOJ, good God, just have been complete trash so far, claiming from a leaked memo that came out that they don't want to, do anything with this information yet in terms of charges because it may impact the midterms. But, like, he broke the law, and Trump is not running in the midterms. But they're going to wait. So we will see. We will see what happens after the midterms, because the fact that all of this is out now, there is, a long list of what he can be charged with, and that nothing's being done about it. It really shows you that the Biden administration has been weak on every level. I mean, this is really the bare minimum here in terms of what you should expect from an opposition party. That you have these people break the law, clearly break the law. You have Republicans on your side. People like Liz Cheney, who is a horrible lawmaker, a terrible person, but recognizes that Trump lost the election and that he did this to try and steal the election. And still, they are not willing to go through with this yet. So just quickly let's go over some of the potential charges here. So obstructing an official proceeding, which of course is obstructing the certification of the vote. So that's one potential charge. Conspiracy to defraud the United States, which is an effort by two or more people to interfere with governmental functions by deceit, craft, or trickery. Another one is seditious conspiracy, an attempt to overthrow the U.S. government by force. And another, which is just blatantly obvious, is obstruction of justice, in his case, witness tampering, which they have actual text messages sent either by Trump or people around him of him trying to pressure potential or soon-to-be or actual witnesses that were there in front of the committee. So trying to pressure these witnesses before they spoke to the committee to basically tell them to not say anything, that, he's watching. Blatant witness tampering. But we still have to wait. If anyone else had done what he had done, they would already be behind bars. But we're waiting for charges still. It really is just completely insane. Now, though, let's get to this clown. Josh Hawley, Republican Senator Josh Hawley. Here he is with his fist in the air right before those insurrectionists attacked the Capitol. Well, here is that whole situation. You're going to see what happened shortly after this fist.
Senator Josh Hawley also had to flee. Earlier that afternoon, before the joint session started, he walked across the east front of the Capitol. As you can see in this photo, he raised his fist in solidarity with the protesters already amassing at the security gates. We spoke with a Capitol police officer who was out there at the time. She told us that Senator Hawley's gesture riled up the crowd, and it bothered her greatly because he was doing it in a safe space, protected by the officers and the barriers. Later that day, Senator Hawley fled after those protesters he helped to rile up stormed the Capitol. See for yourself.
Josh Hawley is such a coward. So in a bit here, I will get to how he's a fake populist. And shortly, I will get to the reactions to this amazing clip. And I think everyone had the same reaction when they saw that for the first time. But just quickly here on why this matters. Because you have here this total fake. Here's a guy who had his fist up in the air, outside just hours before, riling up the crowd, the insurrectionist crowd, which Capitol Police said happened. When he put his fist up in the air, the crowd got really excited. And then goes on to downplay the severity of the Capitol riot. Yet here he is at the time running away from it. It was such a nothing burger, yet he ran his ass away from that crowd. What a total coward and a complete phony. So quickly, I will get to the laughter because it is enjoyable to watch other people enjoy that. But it's good to see the Kansas City Star here, his state's paper, put this on the front page. Jan.6 committee shows Josh Hawley fleeing from Senate after pumping fists to protesters. Now, it's hard to know the kind of influence these sorts of papers have anymore. That said, it's good to see this is getting recognized in his own state, that this is, at least a bit of a focus for now. So hopefully that focus continues on just going deeper into his votes, how he's a complete fake, how he's a total, pro-corporate, pro-billionaire politician while pretending to be of the people. But let's get to some laughter. All right. So here is the immediate reaction in the room there at the hearing. Here is how the room reacted. Now, if you watched that live, the hearing live, you didn't see that at the time. You just saw the screen. There was no audio. But I laughed. And then I saw that, they were laughing too. And then I thought, you know what, I'll check online because I was just curious what everyone else's reaction was to it. So here are a few examples that I could find of shows that covered this live and their reaction to that clip.
The slow-mo. They hit him with the slow-mo.
That's perfect.
Oh, that's rich. That is rich.
Oh my God, I love it. I love
Think
it.
about what we've seen.
All right. So Binder's was my favorite reaction there. So everyone there, that was Jessica Burbank and Cenk Uygur on TYT. Then you had David Pakman, of course, David Pakman Show, and then Matt Binder on his show Doomed, all reacting the same way. I really think everyone laughed at that because it just shows you it's the perfect example of how phony so many of these politicians are. So it's not just Josh Hawley that is a complete fake, of course, but it's a great example of how fake these people are. And one more point on that. So actually, before I get to that point, just quickly here, if you want some more laughter here on Twitter, people have remixed this clip with various songs. So Chariots of Fire, of course, I can't play this because of copyright issues, but Benny Hill theme, the Gonna Fly Now, Rocky. So you can check this out. I'll link to that below the video under sources. But here we go with the reaction from Michael Fanone. So he's a former DC police officer, of course. He was there on the day, and here he is discussing his reaction to that Josh Hawley clip.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, to give you my, the first thoughts that popped into my mind was Josh Hawley is a and he ran like and the fist pump combined with what he did in the immediate aftermath just shows the true character or lack thereof.
There are reports that saying when they showed the video inside the hearing, people started kind of giggling, laughing.
Oh yeah, there was an eruption of laughter. I mean, obviously I see the amusement of it, and I'm not going to fault people for finding it humorous, but that pisses me off. And that guy's a clown. And you see the way that these guys perform in public, and then what they are in reality. You get a lot of that nonsense up here on Capitol Hill with these members of Congress that have become like a caricature in the media, but in reality, they have no character. They have no honor. They have no integrity. And the way they behave outside of the camera's eye is very different.
So this is a point that you often hear from people who have either worked in Washington, work in Washington, or have experience there, is that a lot of these people, a lot of these lawmakers, especially Republicans, but also Democrats, are just completely phony. they put on, they have a certain character that how the media views them. Like Joe Manchin is the centrist, yet all his positions are to the right of public opinion. You have, Josh Hawley, the populist, but he's a total fake populist, as I'll get to in a second here. And, putting his fist up in the air with the people, yet running his ass away when things get a little heated for him, and then downplaying the riot afterwards like it was nothing. So, it's good to see this called out, and it was great to see somebody call him a, can I say this on YouTube? I don't know. I'm not going to try. But that's exactly what he is. So it's good to see this being called out by Michael Fanone there. And let's get to, actually before, I want to give credit here to J.C. Whittington from Politico. That's where that clip came from. Now, in terms of Josh Hawley's populism, all right? So this is the rating from the AFL-CIO, the largest federation of unions in the U.S. His rating, so his pro-worker rating, is 4%. 4%. That's his pro-worker rating. So again and again, you can see the icons here, voted against working people. That's the little money hat. Then voted with working people is the fist. Again and again, voted with the money hat. Voted with the money. In one case, voted with the people here, but a 4% rating. Compare that to someone like Bernie Sanders, a 100% rating. Now, I want to be clear, the AFL-CIO isn't perfect. They've made some incorrect endorsements in the past, but in terms of just the rating of these votes and how people are voting, this is a lot more accurate. So you have here Bernie, with a perfect rating, and the fake-ass populist Josh Hawley with a 4%, gives you an idea. And also, Bhaskar Sankara has a great piece. This is from a year ago, but in The Guardian. Pro-worker Republicans are status quo toadies cloaked as populists. J.D. Vance, Tucker Carlson, and Josh Hawley love saber-rattling about elites, but they have no interest in taking on corporate power. Where he goes on to write, like the Clintonites, Republicans such as Hawley and Vance are trying to find a way to balance pro-working class appeals popular with voters with the enduring fact that their party is largely funded by rich donors and powerful business interests. Their solution is to offer Americans rhetoric about elites and the importance of hard work, but not to actually take power away from those elites or, say, enact job programs. It took decades, but millions of voters came to see the New Democrats as frauds. The same, I hope, will be true of the New Republicans. So I will say I have a little less hope for his last point there, simply because people like Josh Hawley, like J.D. Vance, what they operate on is fear-mongering around cultural issues. So, they'll be openly, anti-trans, anti-abortion, and that is part of their appeal to more conservative voters. That helps to hide the fact that they are simply just puppets of wealthy interests. So they can rail on about the elites because when they are discussing that, they are simply talking about, wokeism, rail against the wokeism. So for a lot of voters, unfortunately, somehow that works. And these Republicans are able to continue operating in the interests of the wealthy and, massive corporations because they are distracting with those issues. And of course, at the same time, being very dishonest about it, generating cultural issues out of simple issues of human rights and human decency. But they generate these narratives out of nothing because they have nothing real to offer people. Now, a couple more clips here. I'm not sure how important. This one's not even worth it. But this was just CNN pushing Jamie Raskin on the idea that was it too gratuitous to share Josh Hawley running away, and Raskin making the connection that I already made, that it's not gratuitous because it shows Josh Hawley, a guy who had riled up the crowd, now running away from it after he had downplayed the Capitol riot. But last clip here. So this is something that I think is an interesting discussion. So let me just play this. This is Adam Kinzinger, who is a Republican, but one that is, in recognition of the results of the election. Here is a point he made on CNN.
I truly believe in my heart, in 5 years, maybe not 5, but definitely 10, you're not going to be able to find a single person that admits to supporting or voting for Donald Trump in this country because they're going to be embarrassed because their kids are going to say, you actually supported Donald Trump? Are you kidding me? And they're going to be like, no, we didn't. It's like trying to find a Nixon supporter a couple years after he resigned. I had to tell you, your kids And to my fellow Republican congressmen, stand up and speak out or your kids will be ashamed of having that last name. And I'm not trying to say that to be mean, it's just fact.
So I would love to hear your opinion on this in the comments below. Do you think in about 10 years or so that people are going to be afraid to admit that they once supported Donald Trump? Because honestly, I don't know. No one really knows. But even just in the speculation of it, it's really hard to, I don't know. I mean, I hope that's the world that we end up in. And I'm glad to see that there are people out there that are, maybe a little more optimistic than I am sometimes. But I do think, I guess, at some point, that switch has to happen, right? Like, if we are going to continue on in humanity and living our lives, at some point, the people that are currently incredibly brainwashed are going to have to wake up. Because if they don't, then what happens to them? What happens to society? So I hope he's right, but I would like to hear your thoughts on that below.